What's good, YouTube, man? It's your boy Sinister. Me back with another video, man. Today we finna be reacting to the murder of Capone, man. So those of y'all that don't know, man, like early drill, if you've been listening to early drill, man, you know who Capone is, man. Like if you ain't been listening to the old drill, man, 2012, 2013 drill, man, you don't know what the hell your ass, man. You missing a lot, man. Make sure y'all like, comment, subscribe, turn that bell. Hope y'all having a safe and blessed Thursday today, man. Let's get right into it. Oh, and his birthday was yesterday too, man. Happy birthday, Capone, too.
In 2012, Chicago drill music had exploded after Chief Keef, one of the BD-affiliated rappers hailing from both O Block and Front Street, released a string of hit songs. On March 6, 2012, Keef released his breakout track, I Don't Like, ultimately going on to land at 93 on the Billboard Hot 100 and getting an all-star remix from Kanye West and going double platinum. With this track, Keef put Chicago drill, essentially gangster rap 2.0, on the map, and for members of 600 who were allied with the BDs from O Block and Front Street, this windfall of attention represented a huge opportunity. 2013 would be the year 600 would begin to make serious noise in the Chicago drill scene. Members like E-Day, S-Dot, as well as Young Famous, and the rest of the Bezel Boys had all been dropping drill music consistently since 2011, while members like Buka, Rondo, and C-Day had dabbled with the genre also since 2011. In 2012, particularly E-Day had become the face of 600 in the music scene, even getting Chief Keef to feature on a remix of his song Gucci. With that coming right as Chief Keef was absolutely blowing up with his track I Don't Like. But at the end of 2012, another prominent 600 member would also be rapping. That member was LA Capone, who together with his best friends like Rondo No. 9 and Tay 600 would take the hype around 600 to the next level coming into 2013. In January 2013, LA Capone would release his first hit and one of the most classic examples of Chicago drill in its prime, the song Murder. In the video, someone even holds up a sign with the names of a number of gangs that were seemingly allied in the streets and now in the music. O Block, where Chief Keef hails from, OTF, the name of Lil Durk from Lamron's collective, as well as Baldy World, another name for 600, and Front Street. This showed that LA and 600 were getting support from all the local hoods with some of the biggest up-and-coming drill stars. So LA would be in prime position to become the most famous rapper coming out of 600. The song Murder itself was a hard-as-nails drill anthem with a hook where LA pretty much lists all of the minor indiscretions that could get you murdered in his hood. Murder painted a stark picture of the deadly lifestyle of a gang member in the streets of 600. And if LA's tweets were anything to go by, his lyrics rang true, as he would tweet in March that you have to commit a murder to be a true 600 member like him. And all of the other members that he tagged. However, there's been intense debate about who it was LA might have murdered, with no particular body being identified after all of these years. But regardless, LA remained very active in music during this time, and it's clear to see he had ambition to be a star in drill. Just 6 days after he released Murder, LA released his track Face Down with Rondo No. 9. This will be another street anthem celebrating murder and the gang lifestyle. But unlike Murder, however, Face Down would see Rondo No. 9 making pointed disses towards 600's ops, 051 Young Money, and Murder Jaro City member Tutu. The pair would later become a dynamic duo in music, releasing many classic drill songs together. Next month, LA Capone released a posse cut featuring S-Dot and Rondo No. 9 called Grindin', another murder anthem with lyrics about 600 members being savages and scoring on their ops, leaving them dead. In March, LA would follow this up with the song So Loud.
So Loud, yeah, my favorite.
He dropped before, this time being a more melodic auto-tune track with a more uplifting style. LA was showing versatility on the mic that was rare in Chicago, that was mainly being showcased at the time by the biggest stars in drill, Chief Keef and Lil Durk. But during this period, LA's work rate was unmatched, because only a day later, he would drop the next music video for the song Shooters with Rondo No. 9, another gangbanging anthem that saw Rondo shouting out the many shooters in 600. It was arguably Shooters that would help make Rondo, with his distinctive raspy voice, a name to be reckoned with within the drill scene. In the track, he would diss members of 069 Brick Squad set, including P. Rico and Lil Jojo, who had started the so-called BDK movement the previous year, before tragically being killed soon after. On June 10th, 2013, 600 would also drop their first official group anthem, the track 600, featuring E-Day, LA Capone, S-Dot, and Rondo No. 9, together with a music video that begins with a jail message from D. Rose, who was locked up at the time, and includes cameos from numerous 600 members, 600 Breezy, Punch Udo, Just Blow, Tay 600, Young Famous, and many more, as well as O Block members like Boss Top and J Money. who would unfortunately end up losing his life later that year. Many fans of drill can at least attest to the waves that 600 were making this year and the influence their presence at this time would have had in rap for years to come, with many calling this period in 2013, where so many famous members were alive and releasing music, as the golden age of Chicago drill, with people reflecting on this period as 600's musical prime. For example, one of the most famous rappers of the late 2010s, 6ix9ine, went on record to say that Rondo No. 9 was actually the reason he started rapping.
Yo, you know what's crazy? Yeah, the person who made me start rapping was Rondo No. 9.
Nah.
I swear to God.
And it would be amid this.
Bruh, and now he dissing Dirk and shit. Like, he used to be cool. Or no, like, he like not cool, but like his ass went to O Block and shit. Like, he started beef with Chief Keef for I don't know who. No, I don't care, but I don't know how he was cool with them at one point, but now he just beefing with them for no fucking reason.
This hype, the LA Capone and Rondo
He's just
No.
a troll.
9 will drop their biggest hit on July the 30th, 2013, uploading the video for their collaboration track Play for Keeps, which today has over 60 million views. This high-energy anthem,
that shit bang, boy.
the best Chicago drill songs of all time by many people.
We play for keeps.
Really cemented LA Capone as
Heard
well
on
as
me.
No. 9 as potential superstars of the Chicago drill scene, with the music video itself even featuring a cameo from arguably the future biggest star to ever emerge from Chicago's drill scene,
Dirk.
Lil Durk. Leading into September 2013, 600 had all the momentum in the now booming Chicago drill scene, and together with their serious street reputation, they now had numerous talented rappers. And for a relatively small set, they were clearly ahead of most of their Chicago contemporaries, scoring millions of streams with their songs. LA himself was seemingly destined for stardom and had the perfect opportunity to make it out of the streets and strike it big as an artist. However, unfortunately, one fateful night at a studio, everything would change.
Murder of LA Capone, man.
On the 26th of September 2013, LA Capone, together with his good friend and fellow rapper JB Bin Laden, who LA shouted out in his debut single Work, where he raps, "Dare someone try me, I'll be with a shooter, yeah that's Lil JB." Now these two were together at a recording studio on South Stony Island Avenue in the South Shore neighborhood. Eerily, just months prior, Wooski from STL-EBT, an enemy of 600, had previously tweeted at LA warning him to be careful when he's with JB. Footage would later circulate from the studio, showing LA's last moments, recording a song that would later become the track
Brothers, that shit.
Collab with LA, Rondo No. 9,
and Dirk.
But just before 7 p.m, LA would end up exiting the studio from the rear, walking into an alleyway. Unbeknownst to him, waiting in that alleyway were two gunmen who would open fire, hitting LA twice. LA Capone, real name Leonard Anderson, would be transported to the Northwestern Memorial Hospital in downtown Chicago, about half-hour drive from the studio, where he would ultimately be pronounced dead at 8:30 p.m. Tay 600 would later recall on his YouTube channel getting a call that night about what had happened. Tay would apparently call Lil Durk, who would go on to post a get well message to LA on Twitter 56 minutes after the shooting. And Tay and Durk would apparently head to the hospital together, but unfortunately when they arrived, they would be met by a doctor covered in blood who informed them that LA had unfortunately not survived the shooting.
Doctors come out. It's two detectives and it's a doctor. And the doctor, had so much blood. I can't remember if it was a boy or a girl doctor, but the doctor had so much blood, like, on they, you know what I'm saying? Like, on they, like, they work. Like, I'm like, damn. They're tapping. He like, man, no more. They coming out like they finna say folks dead or something. Yeah, they ass tweaking. Whole time they was finna tell us he ain't making, you know what I'm saying? I'm not even thinking about it at this time. But
Bro, you could already tell. Like, you see all that blood. Like, they finna tell you that they ain't make it, bro. That's a lot of blood on their clothes, bro. They gonna tell you. They gonna tell you.
It would be later reported that LA had actually been just minutes away from the University of Chicago's Trauma Center for Youths, but he was denied treatment as he had just turned 17.
Oh, shit.
Visuals, JB Bin Laden would give it extra insight into the day that LA was killed. It would seem that LA was truly at the cusp of superstardom, as he had been telling JB that he was supposed to be meeting with Atlanta legend T.I. very soon.
He kept telling me that he was supposed to be meeting T.I., so flying to Atlanta with Dirk and meeting T.I. That's like that. This what he used to be telling me. Like, meet T.I. He was flying out at this point. Like, he went on a couple shows with Dirk.
This would also be confirmed by LA's sister on an Instagram Live with Tay Capone.
Somebody said Dirk would have signed LA. Let me just set the record straight on that too. My brother wasn't no dummy. That's why he ain't let him just sign him. He had a whole record deal before he died. He was finna sign with T.I. and them. He would have never signed with Dirk for $100,000. What the fuck is that, a car?
JB would also explain that witnessing LA's death was his first heartbreak and that he still suffers PTSD from it to this day.
That was like my real first like heartbreak. I was really up behind that. Like PTSD, that's where like that shit come from for me. Like, you know, that shit happened so fast. You know, yeah, and it's like I said, my intuition was telling us not to go to the studio. So it's like we was wrong from the jump. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And it's like all that shit is eating me up, all type of shit. You know what I'm saying?
600 members would be devastated by the loss of one of their most prominent and talented members. Rondo would pay tribute in an IG post and on Twitter. E-Day would tweet that LA's legacy would live forever, and many 600 members were seen wearing RIP LA Capone shirts in Rondo No. 9's new song Life of a Savage. Other people close to LA would also pay their respects, like Trey Savage from Chief Keef's Glow Gang, as well as Lil Durk himself, who along with Rondo would record a new verse for the song Brothers. The track LA was...
Oh, they took my bro LA, man, I can't even picture. They took a fucking Savage, man. Bro was a killer. That shit hard, man.
2013 as a tribute. According to police reports, LA's killing would at first seem like a hard case to solve, as there were no working security cameras and the area was mainly surrounded by abandoned buildings. There was also a few witnesses who had directly seen the events take place, other than LA's friend, who could only provide a limited description of the shooter's appearance. However, that didn't stop 600's many ops from dissing LA and celebrating in the aftermath of his death, including prominent rivals from STL like KI and FBG Duck, with guys like MOB Nut even implying that it was time for MOB to kill even more 600 members. Ultimately, little less than a year after LA's death, the detectives would suddenly have a breakthrough, when a man known as Michael Mays, better known in the streets as 051 Rocco or Rockhead, would tell them that he had witnessed the killing firsthand and that he knew the perpetrators personally. This initial interview, where Mays would implicate another 051 member called Lil Mick, real name Saki Hardy Johnson, and a man named Mako Buchanan, would put into motion a series of tell-all interviews by Johnson, Buchanan, and Mays, where each person would try and outmaneuver the others. In a subsequent interview, Mays would allege that Johnson had later bragged about shooting LA Capone in the face when both shots had in fact been in the lower body. Johnson, on the other hand, alleged that Mays may have been involved in the killing of a female 051 member called Big A, real name Amanda Fitch, who had actually been with the trio at the time of the killing of LA Capone. Johnson would also claim that it was Mays who told him that LA Capone was at the studio making a diss song about him, and that he had initially refused to go with the others when they told about their plans to kill LA until somebody brought up 600 being responsible for the murder of Fathead. He would finish his recollection of the events by stating that the killer had been either Mays or Buchanan, but Johnson hadn't actually witnessed the shooting, as he had simply waited for the others in the car. Buchanan would apparently begin his interview cautious and apprehensive, however a meal from McDonald's seemed to put him at ease, because Buchanan would then proceed to come up with not one, but two different scenarios about what had happened that night. In the first scenario, Buchanan claimed that he had heard rumours of the deceased woman named Fitch being responsible for the killing. However, it seems then that Buchanan may have later realised that this version of the events didn't seem believable to the detectives, so he would then come up with another version of the events where it was in fact Johnson who had pulled the trigger. But despite their efforts to cooperate, all three would eventually all be tied to and convicted of the murder. Johnson, aka Lil Mick, was indeed determined to have been the shooter, and he would receive the longest sentence with a total of 60 years. However, in 2021, he would get a partial legal victory, as it was deemed that he would get a resentencing, likely shorter than the original 60 years. Buchanan, meanwhile, would end up getting a total of 45 years. He would also appeal, but that was denied. And Mays, who was the first to offer detectives information about the murder, would get the lightest sentence, but still being hit with a whopping 24 years. And after the trio had been caught, Reddit users on Chiracology actually found social media posts of Johnson, aka Lil Mick, getting his dreads cut around the time of the murder. Apparently a common move in the aftermath of the shooting to get rid of any gunpowder residue out of the long hair and to change their image to throw off the police. Lil Mick could also be seen on Twitter the day after the murder, taunting 600 and LA Capone, and claiming that 600 needed a new name for their block, such as LA World, similar to other neighborhoods when a fallen member dies. Driller from 051, on the other hand, would tweet what LA's last words had supposedly been. No. Commenters on Reddit argued that it would have been very likely that the trio would have gotten away with the murder had it not been for Mays, aka Rocco's cooperation. Interestingly, before the arrest for the firearm in 2014, which led Rocco to cooperate, he was a top-ranking member from 051 and allegedly had been involved in 3 murders, being seen as 051's top killer at the time, as well as being noted as a top 10 shooter by the Chicago police, with commenters alleging that he may well have been the murderer of both L.A. Capone and OTF Newski, Dirk's cousin. Rocco had been taunting L.A. online the very next week, throwing up LA hand signs. He also posted a slew of disrespectful tweets regarding LA's murder. Interestingly, the online detectives on Reddit's Chiracology have also seemingly solved who made the original call, giving up LA's location and setting him up. This would allegedly be another rapper by the name of Hard Knock, who is affiliated with the 757 Gang Alliance in the low end. On the other hand, were at the time heavily affiliated with 051. According to this long, elaborate theory that appears very well sourced, Hard Knock was at the studio at the same time as LA and JB, and he would end up calling Rockhead to come to the studio to smoke some dope with them, which would in reality end up being a setup to kill LA. LA Capone's death was a huge loss, not only to 600, but to the whole drill scene. His music career had seemingly been on a steep rise in 2013, and many were expecting him to be the next big rap superstar to blow up from Chicago. LA Capone's rap career still had a massive impact on the world and left a big legacy to be remembered. New York drill legend Pop Smoke would tweet in 2014 that LA Capone was his favorite rapper, likely inspiring the future Brooklyn drill star to start rapping himself. In his short-lived career, LA Capone created many hit songs that would become classics in the Chicago drill scene, with 600 Breezy believing that at just age 17, LA would likely have been the biggest artist from Chicago if he remained alive. He even had his own connections with massive future stars such as G Herbo, as LA actually went to school with him, something that G Herbo later shared in a tribute post to LA on Instagram.
Hey, shout out Lil Herb too. I got some new coming soon too. Yeah, featuring on Lil Herb, man.
Shout out Lil Herb, L&B, Lil Bibby, man.
Ultimately, the story of LA Capone went down as one of the most tragic wastes of talent in Chicago history. The aspiring rap rookie could truly have been one of the greats. But ultimately, it was his ties to the streets of 600 that both inspired his music as well as inspired his enemies to take him out. And unfortunately for 600, LA Capone's murder was only the first of many disappointing setbacks that ultimately proved that no matter how much talent you have, if you make one wrong move in the streets of Chicago, everything could be over in an instant. But for other members, it would ultimately wind up that being on the other side of the gun would be the misstep that led to their downfall. And going into 2014, numerous 600 members with potentially bright futures would slip up and crash out, throwing away the opportunities that they had to finally get out of the street life, ultimately winding up facing decades in prison.
That shit is crazy, man. That shit is wild to me, man. Yeah, 600, bro, they had a lot of potential, dog. A lot. Like I still listen to his music to this day. Like I'm not gonna stop bumping his music, you know what I'm saying? But it's just like it's the same songs like he dropped from when he was alive, but now he can't make no more music, so it's like fuck, bro. Man, long live LA, man. Free all them boys. Make sure y'all like, comment, subscribe, turn that bell. Hope y'all have a safe and blessed Thursday today, man. And I'm out, man. Peace.